This episode of BFC TV is brought to you by Polaroid. Welcome to BFC TV. My name is Ben, and you are?
I am Dave from FlicFilm's.
And today we are here in Fort Macleod shooting a new product that FlicFilm offers called Chrome 100. Dave, what is Chrome 100?
Chrome 100 is respooled Ektachrome, Kodak Ektachrome 100.
And this is really the first time that Ektachrome cinema film has been available in this capacity, bringing down the price quite a bit. This might be an introduction to slide film for a lot of people getting to shoot it at this price point. Today we're going to talk about how to get started shooting slide film. Dave's going to walk us through this beautiful place. And without further ado, let's go and shoot.
Let's do it.
All right, Dave, first things first, as we shoot this film around town, maybe just walk me through what slide film is for those who don't quite know or don't understand the distinction.
We're used to negative film, which everything is negative from what you see. So black and white, whites are black, blacks are white. The slide film is a positive film, so that once you develop it, what you see is what you get.
So it's a transparency. It's quite unbelievable to look at slide film. If you haven't shot it before, I highly recommend it because when you get your image back and it's a positive and you're looking at the final image, you can hold it up to the light, put it in a projector. There's a lot of beautiful ways to use and display slide film. So let's talk about Chrome 100. So how did you come into producing this stuff?
I tried a couple of times to purchase this film through the motion department of Kodak and had not much success up until recently. And I just sort of had a hunch on a couple people I was talking to, and maybe it would be possible now. So I told them I'd like to place an order, and there was no resistance. The product arrived, so the minute it arrived, I ordered a big order. and no resistance again. So it looks like this is on the market for purchase. It's quite expensive to get into, but yeah, it's well worth it, I think.
Why is Chrome 100 less expensive than buying Ektachrome from your local camera store?
Because FlicFilm is so incredibly efficient at what they do that we can cut a whole bunch of cost out. We also, we cut a little bit of middleman stuff out of it. So I think those are the reasons. We're very efficient and we can sell direct to the retailers.
So you've acquired Ektachrome's motion picture 35mm film, correct? And that's what's being cut?
Yeah.
And is there any distinction between the Ektachrome that comes in a 35mm canister for motion picture and for still shooters?
Yes, the still shooters is called Ektachrome 100, and with the motion it's called Ektachrome 100D, and I do believe that's the only distinction.
And that's the only distinction. So the stuff that you're shooting with Chrome 100 is the exact same stuff that you're shooting with Ektachrome, just in a beautiful little FlicFilm package.
Plus a D.
Plus a D.
In 250 at 11, right?
Yeah. Okay, Dalton, what are you shooting on there?
I'm shooting on a press pan. It is a Nikon FE body with a Mamiya press pan lens.
And I'm using the Horizon 202, so we're gonna have side-by-side comparisons.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think mine might be a little wonkier than yours.
I feel like yours will have a little bit more distortion than mine.
Okay.
But I'm still hoping for mine.
Flex, go off, King.
Slide film, we talked a little bit about the distinctions between color neg and E6 film, but what is the difference when it comes down to shooting, when it comes down to latitude, best practices to shoot it for those just getting started?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about latitude relative to slide film, and that kind of goes back in history. I found that the Ektachrome 100 has a much broader latitude than the previous.
It does, yeah.
So we can, you can shoot with a shadow. It's not going to blot out the shadow. You can blow it a little bit. I was showing Ben a photo I did a little earlier where I blew it out 2 stops on purpose and still maintained the image of what I was shooting, but I knocked out the world's worst mural in the background. So
Yep.
It does have a good latitude, very fine grained, and loves light.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talk about, you can only shoot in golden hour, yada, yada, yada. That does not apply to, actually it doesn't apply to most films, but it certainly doesn't apply to Ektachrome. Ektachrome is wonderful in the hard light of day.
Yes, which is exactly what we're shooting with today. And we're shooting in Fort Macleod. We're getting a lot of shadowy areas, some very bright highlights. How do you navigate the difference in exposure values? What are some techniques that you use to navigate that?
I kind of wait till I have consistent light. So we've got a very cloudy, like we have got a giant thunderhead sitting over here, over top of us here. So I will kind of wait for the very consistent moment to shoot, and so I don't have widely varying lights in the way that I'm shooting. Now I happen to be using a Nikon F6, which has got a fairly good meter in it. Shooting without a sophisticated meter, again, you just take one shot and then just wait for the light. Be patient, wait for the light, it will come to you.
Yeah.
And take your shot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just starting out with it, I would recommend get the broadest lighting that you can at first. See how it handles just direct sunlight. Don't shoot necessarily in like a mixed lighting scenario. It certainly can be challenging at first. The benefit of Chrome 100, I think, is that people can get started trying it out, figuring out how best to use it without spending twice as much essentially on 100.
And one hot tip.
This is a hot tip.
If you're a little concerned about the amount of dynamic range you're dealing with, especially on a cloudy day, just wait a few minutes, let a little bit of cloud come over, and that will actually tighten up your dynamic range quite a bit. Your shadows won't change a whole lot, but your bright spots will diminish a little bit, and you're going to shoot a little bit flatter image that way.
Yeah. Let me just... Oh, that was a hot tip. That was a very hot tip. Thank you, Dave. Okay, so we've been walking around this wonderful town, lots of beautiful signage and old buildings, but what is the context of what this place is?
Fort Macleod was one of the first settled communities in Alberta. It's here because a little problem with the American traders coming up here and selling liquor to the native
Problems
population.
with Americans selling liquor to native populations? Where have I heard that?
And so the Northwest Mounted Police were formed, which is kind of amusing because they actually walked across the country.
They weren't mounted.
They were not mounted.
They were not mounted,
no,
okay.
They were not mounted. They walked across the country, landed in Fort Macleod, and they negotiated with the traders and actually came to a settlement very, very quickly because they had more guns, I think. And the rest is history. Fort Macleod was a seat of government because they had essentially Canada's only little standing army.
Yep.
And the buildings here are a little bit older because of that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And a lot of like mid-century signage, which I find interesting, like stuff that must have come up in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, kind of boom, bust. And you see some pretty cool stuff from the turn of the century, some pretty cool stuff from the 20s, and then pretty cool stuff from the 50s, and then everything goes through cycles, and it's rebuilding itself again, as you can see by the number of renovated buildings.
Yeah, and now that BFC TV is here, the tourism is just going to pour in. So
yeah, you guys are a little bigger than the Ghostbusters movie they shot here.
Yeah. They did shoot Ghostbusters here. That's a good fun fact. Yeah. All right, thanks, Dave, for walking us around. Thank you for watching BFC TV. We hope you enjoyed this journey through Fort Macleod shooting Chrome 100. You can get your own at brooklynfilmcamera.com for a short time exclusively with us and wherever FlicFilm is sold by you. Thank you for watching BFC TV. See you on the next one.